Standing by. One minute to broadcast. And that's it. 8 p.m. We are broadcasting live. All right. Here we are broadcasting live. This Way Out Live. Episode 3. August 4th, 2019. Today's episode. Today's topic. Today's discussion topic. Asking for help. Why is it so hard? I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I could tell you it is hard. I could tell you it is hard, definitely. It's complicated. It's a complicated subject. And it's a complicated topic. Um, I think the angle that I was or the idea that behind this particular subject was something that came out recently that I heard about um, in the military community where there's been a rise. Um, suicide in the military has been a pretty significant um, problem, issue, right? That those that are active duty and post military have been trying to tackle for some time now. It's become such a problem that the powers that be, the upper level management folks, have um, ordered that some units, or all units actually, address the issue. So um, that usually means that an entire installation, all installations, but an entire installation is going to be, um, they're going to be talking about it. And I've known a handful of people, some very close to me, who have um, gone through with their suicides. I know people who very close to me who have contemplated it. Um, I have had opportunities to intervene, um, and identify, but you in these situations, it's not always obvious. I think that's something that makes the topic or that issue so difficult. People who are experiencing um, that are they're dealing with the whatever it is that they're dealing with, aren't exactly open to discussing their issues. And good night, babe. See you in the morning. But what I can tell you is that from personal experience, that those that are open to those that do take the step to get help, um, you know, they most of them feel like, you know, that that was a good choice. They made a good move. Um, and you know, right now I'm talking about suicide, but in general, you know, in general, asking for help is hard, right? Asking for assistance from another person can be difficult. And it's not just a guy thing. It's not just a girl thing. Um, it's an everybody thing. You know, not everybody is open to the idea of reaching out to another person for assistance. You know, it's a sign of weakness. It's these are just examples. It's not a sign of weakness. It's it's you know it the the appearance is, or the perception is, that it is a sign of weakness, right? There's a perception that it's a sign of ignorance. A person's not smart enough to help themselves, so they have to reach out for help. Um, you know, it's hard. It's hard, and the fact of the matter is that when it comes to um, you know, it the fact of the matter is that, like, okay, for those of us that are raising kids, right? We raise kids. What do we always tell our kids when they're at school? Ask for help. Ask for help. If you're having trouble in class, ask for help. At some point along the way, that method of thinking, that way of thinking, gets lost. You know, when we become grown-ups, and maybe it's not everybody. Maybe it's just a few people. Um, but it does get lost. Um, hmm, interesting. Just noticed something on Facebook. It's did not. Anyway, um, I lost my train of thought. I got distracted. Squirrel. Um, okay, so but the point is that, you know, it, asking for help is difficult. Oh, that's what it was. That's what it was. But we raise our kids, and we're raised as kids to ask for help when we need it. So where does that get lost? Where does the idea get lost? You know, I don't know. I'm not that prepared to, and I'm not a counselor to be able to answer that question. But um, what I can tell you is that with some confidence is that with guys especially, you know, it has to do with like weakness and ignorance, especially weakness, right? Like, guys can't be weak, and if you need to be asking for help, then you're soft, you know. Um, and typically the guys are, when it comes to like needing help or asking for help, it's like good friends or somebody they trust. Um, yeah. So, and then the ladies are, um, once again, I think I can speak pretty confidently, that the ladies, they do something called, you know, you always hear about suffering in silence. And, you know, even though that's not just a female thing, it's something that females are known for. You know, I tread lightly by um, when I say that, because um, I don't have, um, I'm speaking from experience. I'm not necessarily speaking from a place of reason. Does that make sense? A place of reason, science, right? Not science, not scientifically, but you know, you hear it. I've heard it plenty of times from plenty of people, that, you know, when it comes to women, suffering in silence is you know how they do it, and it's sad in a way. Um, it's admirable in a way too, because these ladies are tough, man. Those ladies are tough when they do it that way. But anyway, um, dadgummit, it did. Why did it do that? Squirrel again, squirrel. Anyway, um, but at some point we need to realize, we need to. Excuse me, just a minute. I want to check something real fast on my phone. Something about this broadcast. Just want to make sure that it's broadcasting correctly. All right, that's all. It is. I don't know who's watching right now, but if you have any inputs, I would appreciate an input. Some sort of comment or response. How you feel about it. What do you think? Is it spot on? Am I spot on? Am I way off? I'm up to discussing this because um, it, it's a subject it that's kind of close to me personally because I deal with this issue too. I don't like asking for help because I think it's I think well it's probably like more of a pride issue. I want to believe that I can do stuff for myself and I don't need help from anybody. I'm a grown up. I'm a man. I can do it myself. But there are situations where I do need help. I make bad choices sometimes too. Like the help that I need is as a result of making bad choices. And um, that's I guess that's another aspect of it is that sometimes we make bad choices, we get ourselves in a bad spot, and then we feel like it's up to us to get ourselves out of that whatever position we put ourselves into, and refuse to ask or accept assistance you know from someone else, even if it's a loved one, or someone you trust, or a friend. Hey, I know you're having some trouble paying bills or something like that. Would you like a few extra bucks, to help you out? And it's not uncommon for people to say no, I can handle it, when in fact they can't handle it and they're struggling and they're having a hard time. And I think the point the when it comes to that sort of stuff, I think it's important to understand that there is a difference between a hand up and a hand out. You know, people don't, generally speaking, people who are trying to be independent, take care of themselves, they look at these things as being like a handout. I don't want no handouts. I ain't gonna take a handout. Well, I mean, okay, that's good. It's good you're in that mindset. But if you're in a place where a hand up would wouldn't hurt you, if you're not in the business of you know taking advantage of people over and over and over again. You go to somebody, ask them for some cash to, I don't know, put some gas in your car or something like that. Okay, um, make it a point to pay that person back. Okay, debt taken care of. Clean slate. That's how that works. But if you're the kind of person that's going back to the well, um, that's a whole different show. But the point I'm trying to make is that there is a difference between a hand up and a handout. And if somebody is offering you some help, or if you need help, you know, don't feel bad about asking for it. Which is, that's a lot easier said than done. Because once again, we're back to, is it a societal thing? I really need some input. I see I got two people watching. Is it a societal thing? What makes it so hard to ask for help? What makes it so hard? Um, I mentioned earlier, guys, typically, generally speaking, it's a sign of weakness or it's a sign of ignorance. Or, I'm not smart enough to take care of myself, or I'm not strong enough to take care of myself and what I've got going on, you know, that makes it hard to ask and accept help. And, for females, generally speaking, once again, they have the suffering in silence. Females are very, um, women in general, and once again, I tread lightly when I generalize, when I, make these, when I categorize things that way, by the sexes. It's just, in my experience, in my experience, when you hear suffering in silence, it's usually associated with, um, a woman, right? A female. Because women they're very good at, they don't like to show that weakness. They like to show how tough they are, or that nothing's bothering them. You see it a lot in the military. Holy mackerel, man! The military spouses, they've got to keep a house together when mom or dad's got to deploy, or dad's got to deploy. I'm talking about the women. When dad's got to deploy, right? Getting all of their gear together, man, they used to be so depressing in my house. Like the 2 or 3 days before I would deploy, it would be so depressing. But my wife would just do such a great job of keeping it together and keeping everything kind of light. And there was never like an indication that she was, bummed out. So, she was keeping it together, but on the inside, she was falling apart. That she tells me that my daughter told me that she apparently, when I was gone, there was a string of movies that Vanessa would watch, while I was gone, deployed. You know what I mean? And it was always the same movies. My daughter told me this. Same movies. It's the funny movie, and it's the romantic comedies, and it's the Notebook, that sort of stuff. Where falling apart, and and but at the moment, whenever we're getting ready to split up, for the deployment, she's keeping it together. She's keeping it together. She keeps it together for the kids, and I mean, that's just but that's kind of what I mean. That's a woman thing. Moms especially work very hard to kind of keep themselves together and keep the family together, and not try to, to kind of keep things together. So that's why I say, suffering in silence is, generally speaking, not necessarily typically speaking, but generally speaking, a woman thing. And for guys, it's a test of manliness or strength, versus weakness. But anyway, it's these things that get in the way of asking for help. And um, what I'm trying to convey here at this time is just to, that's a mindset that, at some point, some of us, should try to alter, try to change, because asking for help is not a bad thing, right? Asking for help is not a bad thing. I said this just a few minutes ago. There's a difference between a handout and a hand up. Handout is, you're taking advantage of another person. But if a hand up is, yeah, you're in need, you're not in the business of taking advantage of people, going back to the well, you know, taking $10, 20, whatever. You're not in the business of going back to the same people and keep, you know, mooching cash off of somebody because they'll give it to you. No, that's a handout. A hand up is, you're low on gas. Somebody says, "Hey man, you need some help? Filling up the tank this time? Yeah, man. Would you mind? I'll get you back on payday, something like that. I maybe you came up short on the paycheck, and you need to reach out to mom or dad or brother or sister, something like that. You gotta, so you can pay the bills, keep the lights on. You do what you gotta do. Especially when it comes to your family. So the aversion to asking for help is it's understandable, It's understandable, but at some point, for some of us especially, you just I would think a little bit harder about what it is that's keeping you from asking for assistance. Is it a matter of pride? Is it a matter of fear? Is it a matter of um, I don't know, but I would analyze it and see if whatever situation or circumstance that you're in um, requires you to break down whatever those barriers are and reach out for some help. And it can be hard. It can be hard. It can be near impossible. So for some of us, but it's not. But it's not impossible, right? It's totally possible. If your heart's in the right place, right? Your head's in the right place. That you're not. This is not a recurring thing, something you're going to take advantage of. Then okay, you know, do the right thing, pay back the debt, and press. You're not You're not taking advantage of anybody. It's not a handout. It's a hand up. Go Cowboys. Um, and I opened with this, and I see I've got 2 people watching. So this is how I've got 5 minutes, 5 minutes to the 30-minute mark. If nobody comments or whatever, then we'll end it at 30. But I did want to talk about the suicide issue, right? I started out talking about that, and I came out the gate talking about suicide, and maybe not maybe not the best thing to open up with because it probably you know um, scare some people off. But I do want to go back to that and say that especially the the well-known statistic for military and veterans is 22 a day, losing 22 veterans a day, and it would not surprise me if that number has climbed because in the active duty world, at least in the Air Force, they've declared a down day. That's muddy too. They've declared a mandatory down day to address the issue because apparently the the number of suicides among active duty members has climbed, right? And who knows. I'm not active duty anymore. I don't know if there are any active duty people watching. I don't know what the reason is, but it's whatever the reason, it's serious enough to have to do these mandatory to ask for units to stand down for take a day to address the issue, talk about it. I've known a few people personally who have gone through with the act of taking their own life, and it doesn't make sense because for some of these people they seemed to be okay, and that is what makes identifying people who are um, in danger. Uh, that's what makes it difficult because the people that are having these feelings are hiding them so well. They're experts at hiding their feelings, their true feelings. So um, if you are that kind of person, the kind of person that could be contemplating the going through with something like that, hurting yourself or hurting someone else for that matter, um, you, you're obviously in some sort of pain and you need help. You need help, and it's okay. It's okay to ask for help. I spoke to a gentleman not too long ago who, if he were here, he would be telling anyone who's having those types of thoughts or those types of feelings that talking to mental health professionals saved his life. The feelings and the emotions that come with those thoughts of contemplating harming yourself or someone else, they I don't think they go away, but you can get help, and I think they will eventually make sense. Does that make sense? I'm not a professional, but what I can tell you is that if you are experiencing these feelings, then you need some help. And there are people who are ready and willing to help. It's it crushes the what gets left in the wake of that sort of act. What gets left in the wake is it's devastating. That's the word I'm looking for. It's devastating. And the questions that come about after the act are unanswerable. So get some help. Ask for help. It's okay. It's not weak. It's not dumb. It's time. That's what it is. And my number is scrolling right there. You can call, you can text, and I will try my best to get you some help. But asking for help is not wrong. It's not weak. It's not stupid. It's the right thing to do. It's always the right thing to do. We're told as young kids that we should always reach out for help if we need it. Ask questions, get some help. And at some point in our lives when we become grown-ups, we lose that lesson. That lesson gets lost. But what I'm here to tell you is that it's just as true now as it ever was when we were kids. If you need some help, ask. All right? Okay. Well, we're 32 minutes in, and I've got no comments or anything like that. Nobody's commented, and I got no chats. So I think we will end it there. We will end it there. Thanks for tuning in. I don't know who's watching. I got two people watching. One of them's probably me, and the other one's probably me. Bet you they're both me. Let's see. But some interaction. Ooh, come on now, give me some interaction. I'm gonna say hello myself then. Hello. There it was. Cool. Okay. Um, thanks for tuning in, folks. Whoever's watching, thanks for tuning in. If you come back and watch this later, I appreciate you. Tuning into the broadcast. I really appreciate it. Remember, on Facebook, well, you know what? We'll just do it this way. If you go to my channel, if you go to the channel, all the links are right there. The website link, Facebook, Instagram, and the Twitter are all on the channel page. Okay, so this way out. Appreciate you tuning in. Still working on an episode. I got an episode currently going on that I'm working on. Still writing the blogs. Still doing the feature articles. School's going to be starting soon, so that all might slow down soon. But otherwise, thanks for tuning in. Remember, asking for help is not a bad thing. It's not weak. It's not stupid. It's right. It's the right thing to do. You got this. You got this. Call the number. If you need some help, call the number. Send me a text. I will help. I will do my best. I will do what I can to get you some help if you need it. Otherwise, we'll talk to you later. God bless. I need some outro music. Where's my cursor? It's like Thor Ragnarok. But this is not what's supposed to happen. Didn't time that right. Okay. God bless y'all.